Okay, so I guess the recording has been started. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Apoor, and yeah, I'm currently a member of GDSC RGPV and also organizer of Flutter Bhopal. And I'm here to talk about all about like how can you learn Flutter and what is Flutter Festival and like all the things about Flutter, right? So let's begin our event with like what all things we are going to do, right? So that we all have a clear picture of what is to come next. All right. So firstly, we'll talk about what is Flutter Festival. Then we'll move on to introduction to Flutter. Many of you as attendees right now, you might be studying in some college, engineering college, or any other college. You might be doing some jobs or internships in some other framework or technology, right? Like React.js or React Native or something like that. So we'll talk about what is Flutter, introduction to Flutter, what are the benefits that it offers, and then we'll talk about how you can learn it, right? Because I'll tell you all the things about like how big companies and corporations are using Flutter right now. If like I'll talk about those things just in a bit. So like the most important part that will be that how you can learn Flutter, right? How you as a student in your second year, first year, or maybe third year, or even doing an internship or a job right now can like learn Flutter in a good manner, right? So that you can implement it, or you can build applications with it, not just for the sake of learning, right? So that's what we'll talk about in section 3. Then we'll have a small quiz on a quizzing platform that we have developed on our own in under GDSC organization, definitely. I'll share you the link to that platform. Actually, we are trying to publish it on Google Play, but like it's an under review period for 3 days. I'll tell you all about that as well in fourth section of this thing. And finally, we'll have a Q&A session, right? So all the information that I will give you about in this entire event. If any questions you might have, definitely we will have a lot of questions, I guess. So we can take all of those questions up in the Q&A session. And finally, if the time permits, we can also take a hands-on coding demonstration right now. Not right now, actually, after the event, if the time permits, right? So let's get started with this thing. Next slide. Okay, so first of all, what is Flutter Festival, right? So simply put, it is the best place to start learning Flutter or grow your Flutter skills, right? So what Google has done or the Flutter team has done is they have basically put out Flutter Festival kind of festival, right? So it lasts for about 1 month, starting from February of 14th till the March of 30th, and in it they are trying to promote and like educate all of the like students or developers or whoever is interested into learning Flutter through a series of community-led events, right? So we are a community, right? We are GDSC, UIT, RGPV. We are Flutter Bhopal, right? So we are a community. So communities like us, which are actually non-profit communities, we don't charge anything for any of our sessions or anything that we offer, right? So we will guide you throughout this Flutter festival. Like we'll help you learn Flutter within this 1 month period, right? So this is the goal and objective of Flutter Festival, that new folks or people who are interested in Flutter, right, should be like able to properly get into the framework, right? And if they need any help, of course, there is this community, entire community, which is there, which can help you out in these things, right? So this is a little bit about Flutter Festival, what it is, and let's move to our schedule and timeline. So here's the timeline that we have plotted. Okay, it's not a hard and fast timeline that exactly on this date this thing will happen. We can of course shift things according to your interest. If a lot of people say that they want to see, like for example, today is 20th of February, and it's the info session currently. And the next thing we have planned is learning Dart. So I'll talk about what is Dart. Don't worry, but just bear with me right now. So we'll talk about learning Dart in the next session, and then learning the essentials of Flutter, right? So, but if a lot of people say that we are already knowing Dart and like we can do Flutter essentials on our own, but we want to make games in Flutter, right? If that's a topic or a request that we get, then we can definitely put this games in Flutter in front and like take it before. So it totally depends on what you guys actually want, right? We can take or any of this topic. Like if any one of you is a JavaScript developer here, they might know something about Canvas, right? JavaScript, HTML Canvas, right? So Flutter has a similar kind of thing. It's called as Flutter Canvas. We can take a session on that. Again, depends on your interest, right? We can if anyone is an advanced user, if you might be working in React.js or AngularJS or things like that. You might ask like, okay, I want to learn state management. So if a lot of you folks say that, we can take state management in Flutter. Okay. So the thing is that this is the general timeline I have plotted here, that this is the info session, and slowly, if you are a complete beginner, and like I think a lot of people will be a little bit new to this framework, because of course not a lot of people are into into everything, right? So many people will be new to here, and we'll guide you through how to learn basics of Dart, like basics of programming with Dart. What all things do you need to like actually learn Flutter, and like get your applications going, right? Publish your applications on Play Store, iOS, and things like that. So this is our general timeline. This will stretch out to your 30th of March. So this was the overview of our timeline, and everything depends on what you guys actually want, right? So let's move forward with this. So now talking about the interesting question, what is Flutter? Okay, so many of you guys already might have been knowing what is Flutter and what it does, but for those of you who don't, let me tell you about what is Flutter, right, and what we can do with it actually. So Flutter is basically Google's portable UI toolkit for building and blah blah blah, a lot of definitions there. So what the point here is that uh, imagine that you are a web developer working with JavaScript, creating websites and things like that. And then this is one kind of thing, right? There is another kind of thing where you create Android applications using Java, not JavaScript, but Java or Kotlin, right? So this is second kind of thing. So there is also third kind of thing where you create iOS applications, right? You create iOS applications using like Swift, a language called Swift, and Xcode, right? And there is other kind of thing that you create desktop applications using what, C++ or C sharp. So a lot of things, right? A lot of different things are there. And what Flutter does is it's like I was completely blown away by this fact that I'm about to tell you, right? So what it basically means, if you write code in JavaScript, is that you can run it in a browser. You can create web applications with it, and that's most of the limiting part, right? This might not be mostly true, but, for every case true, but this is the majority the case, right? So what Flutter does is, once you are able to learn Flutter, once you have learned Flutter, how it works, and creating applications with Flutter, whatever application you create will run on how many devices? Let's see. It will run on iOS, it will run on Android, it will also run on web and Windows, like the Windows applications, the Mac OS, the actual laptop that operating system is there. So the Mac OS, the Linux, and embedded systems as well. So I was actually completely blown away by this fact that what's going on, right? How is it supporting so many platforms, and like what's going on, and how is the code base? It would be a lot complex, right, to think about. But the thing is that it isn't. That's the whole point, right? It's really easy to create applications with using Flutter, and I myself have been creating applications using Flutter since the last 2 years, and have over like one lakh downloads over at my Play Store. So like it's really easy to build applications with Flutter for all of these platforms. Once you are able to learn Flutter, you can easily develop applications for all of these platforms. You might need to adjust a few things here and there, but that's the only thing. Okay. For the most part, you will be able to create applications for these. Now, here we have the mascot for the Flutter framework that the Google team has created. It's a cute little bird, bluebird. I just wanted to show you this. Okay, so its name is Dash. So if you ever encounter this thing, now you know. So you might be asking that, okay, it's cool. We can create applications for like Android, iOS, web, desktop, etc., right? So, but is actually any company using Flutter right now? Why should I invest a lot of time into Flutter and not any other framework like learning C sharp or learning C++ or learning Java or any that kind of thing? So my answer to that question is that yes, you can definitely learn all of these frameworks. These are very good frameworks. But if you want to build something that is like really quick to build for and works on a lot of platforms out of the box, so then you should consider a framework like Flutter or React Native and something like that, right? So coming to the point, what all companies are currently using Flutter, right? So let's see the number by official Google Play Store data. As per last year, I guess this number is for the last year. Over 200,000 Flutter applications were published on Play Store, and uh, many of the big companies, like you would know it, Dream 11, right? It's a huge company, like having 50 million of downloads and like monthly active users would be like crazy, right? So they're using their entire application is built on Flutter. You if you are into like investing and things like that, there is Zerodha and Kite. Like the Zerodha's platform is built on like this Flutter framework. If you have ever heard of Ubuntu or Linux, Ubuntu has currently partnered with the Flutter team to create applications for the Linux using Flutter, and a lot of other corporations as well. And these are corporations, household name corporations, right? BMW, Toyota, Alibaba, Tencent, WeChat, New York Times, and a lot more, right? So this is apart from Google, right? These all organizations apart from Google. Now, in the next slide, we have where is Google actually using all these things, right? So Flutter is a framework built by Google, and it is open source. So it is a very key point if you are a very beginner. So Flutter is an open source framework. Its source code is entirely available on GitHub, right? You can go to GitHub right now. Right now, if you have a GitHub account, just go to the GitHub and just check out the entire framework. It's there with the documentation and everything, right? So it's an open source framework developed by Google, and everything and many of the Google apps are currently using it, like GPay. Like one of the applications that you would have definitely used is GPay. Google AdMob, if you know AdMob, or Google Ads, and a lot of other Google products, right, are using this Flutter as well. So moving on to this open source part, so it has over like 110,000 GitHub stars, which is huge. Like I couldn't even get like over 10 or 20 stars on GitHub, right? And not a huge open source guy, right? So like 110,000 stars, it just blows my mind, right? So you can check it out right now, definitely, if you can feel like. There are like 15,000 plus packages written for the Flutter framework right now. And all of, like, for example, there is npm, right? Npm in JavaScript world, right? You can go to npm and copy any and download any package, right? So there is this pub.dev in Flutter. Okay, it's a similar kind of package manager for Flutter framework, pub.dev. You can actually visit this website as well if you're interested. There are like over 1,000 contributors and plus to over 200 global meetups and groups, among which we are one of them. We are very proud to announce that Flutter Bhopal has been recently established, and we are also among these 200 meetup groups that are like coming up, right? And it's always open source, of course, as I'm saying, right? So this was about something about the community aspects. Okay. Now your question might be that okay, you have told me about what is Flutter. You have told me about that it's open source, it's very great and all. Like, how do I actually build Flutter apps, right? What is the platform or ID? Like, can I use VS Code? Can I use Notepad++ or something? Like, how do I actually write Flutter code, right? So there are a lot of ways you can do that, right? So let's tackle them in the next slide. So the first choice, anyone familiar with your Android programming will have Android Studio, right? So Flutter is available on Android Studio. You can simply go to like your extensions, install the Flutter and Dart extension, and download the Flutter as you can set it up, and you're good to go with Android Studio. You can use it with Xcode. You can always use it. And the best part, like this is my preferred way of creating apps, right? Is it supports VS Code as well. So if you don't want to install Android Studio and go through the hassle of doing that, but so you can also develop applications using VS Code, right? You will never have to open the Android Studio, right? So simply open up your VS Code and it will work flawless. So now there are a lot of things here, other as well. Like if you are aware of Firebase, there is a thing called, like, it's kind of backend as a service. They're giving databases and analytics and a ton and tons of other things. So Firebase, Android APIs, and a lot of other things, right? They're written everywhere. Thousands of third-party integrations and plugins. So that's another thing. But the crux of this slide will be, I would prefer, if you are trying to install Flutter locally, just go with this VS Code. Okay. You will have to actually install Android Studio because you will need the Android SDK. but you will never have to open it again. Like you just have to keep it for the sake of the SDK. If you can bypass that thing, like do come and tell me also. Like I'll be also interested in knowing that step. If you can avoid somehow installing this, but for the most parts, if you're working with VS Code, you have to install Android Studio as well. So there is a lot of confusion on the internet about this thing. So that's why I was clarifying this. Okay. So now we are moving into. I have told you about like how to do all these things, right? So, but now the big question is like, how do you learn Flutter, right? There are like hundreds of resources on the internet. There are Udemy courses, like good Udemy courses. There are Coursera courses. There might be Coursera courses. There might be YouTube playlists. There might be some tutorial that you want to follow. So, what is the like best way to learn Flutter? Okay. So the best way to learn Flutter is, of course, I would say you can visit the Google Colab, right? Not the Google Colab actually, but the code labs that the Google provides. That's the one thing that you can check out because they have provided everything integrated over there. So I'm moving on to that part. Next slide. Okay, how to learn Flutter? Yeah, I was introducing that part. So yeah, one of the ways that you follow a YouTube playlist, that is like you can, and my recommendation is that don't take a playlist which is about a year or two older, right? Because a lot of changes have been made into Flutter framework and a lot of good changes are there, right? So currently in Flutter 2.10, if you're listening carefully, the recent release of Flutter enabled desktop support and it's on the stable version. So like I can now just go create an application with Flutter and publish it on the like your Windows Store easily, easy peasy. So that's on stable right now in the latest release. So moving on to steps, right? So I have categorized this learning process into 3 steps. Okay, so let's move on to the first step. So the first step of learning Flutter will be to learn Dart. Now you might say, what is Dart? Many of you will know what Dart is, but many of you might not know, right? So it's a new word if you are not in this space. It's a new word for you, Dart, and it's a programming language basically. It's another like there is a programming language called JavaScript, Python, C++, Java, tons, right? There is another one called as Dart. Now what Dart offers is Dart is the language in which Flutter framework is like written in, right? So we can kind of say that. So if you want to work with Flutter framework, you will have to learn Dart and then you write your code in Dart. And you might say like, okay, is it a difficult language? I would say probably not, because if you know any other language like JavaScript or any other language, right? So what this is from my personal experience, right? So what I have seen in Dart is that Dart has taken best of the features from a lot of languages like JavaScript, like Java, and compiled it into one single language which we can use with Flutter. So that was my experience with Dart, right? It's like I would prefer it over Java and like in JavaScript if I have to ever like do anything. But of course, right? So yes, it's not very difficult to learn. Okay, how is Springboard different from Flutter? Somebody Jatin is asking. Just a second. Okay, how's so I believe Springboard is a web development framework in Java, right? I'm not very well versed with Java. So I probably know that Spring Boot is a kind of web development framework in Java, and of course, it would be a very extensive framework in Java because it's very popular, right? And so basically, I'm not the best person to draw that difference right now because I'm not very well versed into Java. But what I can tell you about Flutter for the web development is you can easily create web apps using Flutter, and I'm going to show you one web app that we have created for this presentation also. So we have an application in made in Flutter, right? We'll show you that also. So just a second. So first step would be learning Dart. So now you might say, how will I learn Dart, right? So there are so this is one way you can learn Dart. So there is a thing called as Cloud Skills Boost program of Google, right? So what they're doing is they're providing us free access until May 1st. This is from official Google, right? No, we are not making this up and anything like kind of that. So this is from official because Flutter Festival is going on right now, and they are encouraging students to learn Flutter. They have allowed the access of their courses and programs via this link. So I can share this link in this. Just a second, I'm sharing this link in the chat box. So let's go to this link together. Okay, I'm pasting this in a second. Okay, someone has already pasted this. Okay, Ankur has already pasted this thing. So you can click on this link, which is in the chat right now. I'm stopping the presentation of this screen so that I can share my screen. Share the screen. All right, I hope my screen is visible. Okay, so here we have it. If you went on that link, right, you will come across this thing, Dart Essentials. And you can simply create an account here if you don't have one, and simply enroll into this course, right? So it has everything covered, right? If you had any doubts regarding like how do I learn Dart, is it difficult, like will I get lost or something, everything is covered over here. Like you can open this thing up, and all of these courses are self-paced. So like you can do it on your own speed. So and the big part is that for the most of these labs, you don't actually have to install anything on our system, right? They are providing something sort of this web editor, and you can do all your work on that. So another thing that you can do is you can go to this website, that is Dartpad. There is a website called as dartpad.dev. I'll share this link as well. If you want to write Dart code instantly, like you want to do it right now, like you don't have any any kind of like that, yeah, I want to learn it then do it. You're kind of that I want to do it and then learn it kind of person. So yeah, you can go to this website. I'm sharing the link to this as well. There you go. Simply here it is written a for loop in a and printing hello world, right? You can run this script. So it has printed hello 5 times. So basically essentials of programming in Dart, right? So use this Dartpad website to actually like test your Dart code or Dart coding skills, right? It's a very good resource. And apart from this, you can also check out these samples given over here. There are like a lot of good samples here. Like for example, this sunflower sample or the Fibonacci sample. Let's check out this sunflower sample. So it's actually Flutter code written over here, if you can see. And you can try to run it and check it out. I'm not going to do that right now. But if you check it out here, Dart is a very simple language, right? You just have your void main, like in C++ or any other language, and you can just write print to like print stuff on the screen. And it has like just-in-time compiler as well. So every wrong step that you make, like it will be instantly reflected here. Hello world. As simple as that. And if you want that to know the extensive documentation of this thing, right? That if you want the official docs, you can go to Dart's official website. That is this. So we are sharing all these resources with you so that you can check it out on your own pace if you would like. And this will definitely be the first step of for you to learn Flutter actually. So Dart specifically made for UI development. You can check it out. If you are very nerdy and want to get into every nitty-gritty detail, there is a lot of there is a great documentation written over here and the packages as well. If you're participating in GSOC also, like Dart also participates in GSOC. So like if you get really good with it and you have something that you can do with GSOC, then you can definitely go with this thing. It will be a little bit difficult because it's an entire language, but anyway, we can't say like who will be able to do it. So someone has to do it, right? So this is also a thing. Okay, now moving on to this PPT. So here is Dart Essentials, right? So you can go to this link and check it out. Muting for right now. Okay, is someone saying something? Okay, Amardeep is trying to raise the hand. Can you please type it in the chat box, or if that's a mistake, like we can just move forward. If there is anything, you can write it in the chat box. I'll be checking it out. Okay. All right. So this is the first step. Okay, learning Dart. So once you have learned Dart, what next, right? Because Dart is a programming language, it's not a framework. The second step will be to learn Flutter, the actual Flutter, and start with the basic widgets. So I will like to take up a phrase here that everything in Flutter is a widget. Okay, like everything. If I can open up something right now. Okay, so I have this app here, web dot. This is an actual Flutter application. Okay, that is there. Let's open it sideways. Okay, so this is an actual Flutter application that we have made. You can also visit this thing. So just a second. This Flutter application that I'm telling you about, we have actually created this Flutter application for taking the quiz. So we'll be having a quiz on this particular application that we have developed under GDSC, right? So it's completely made on Flutter. It's not HTML or something. But it's running on the web, right? So we have also launched this on Play Store, but it's under review. So we are kind of like giving you this link right now. But you can visit this thing and check it out, right? So I'm checking it out here. So everything you see on the screen is a widget, right? The letters of quiz, the letters of banana, and everything, start quiz, email ID, forms, everything is a widget, every single thing. This button is a widget, this everything is a widget. Okay. So that's a phrase you should remember in the Flutter world. Okay, so now how do you learn this basic Flutter, right? So we again have a Google link here. So basically, Google has given all of these courses access for until like 1st of May. So you can check this out. You can get started with Flutter through this thing. Why is it so big in text? I don't know. So you can check this link out. If we go to this link right now. So the first step is done. Now you are able to like work with Dart. You're familiar with Dart for programming fundamentals with Dart, right? So now you can go to this course. Okay, this is the second step we are talking about right now. So build a two-screen Flutter application which has two screens, right? Working with on-screen data, like how to manage the data, implementing page, how do you move from one page to another page. There are like self-paced course given over here. You can simply enroll this, and until March of May of 1st, as it was written previously, you will have free access to all of these. After this, I think these are paid or some subscription is there. I don't know, but until May, it's free. So you can check it out as well. So this is the second part of learning Flutter, right? So moving on to the last part. This, believe me, this is the last part, and most of the presentation is quite done from my end. So we can move on to the Q&A after this. Just a few, 2, 3 slides left. Okay. So don't worry if it's going on since ever. Like, okay. So the third step will be after completing that link, which we have covered previously. Now you can go to this. Now you can learn about advanced things in Flutter, right? So you can learn about like Firebase authentication, like user login and logout. You can start like creating your own applications at this point. If you come to step 3, if you are able to reach step 3, you will be able to create your own apps by now. So there is another link here I have. I'll share this as well. I don't know why its text is so big. It has cluttered up with the entire thing, right? So again, this was the last link that I have to copy from the presentation. So just check it out. Okay, so this is the last thing that you will need to know, right? So let's go to this. Let's maximize this thing. Okay, so there is some advanced stuff given over here, like Flutter Web and Firebase authentications. If I open this thing, does it give a? Okay, so it is showing us like it is trying to create a Firebase Meetup kind of application. Really interesting looking application with like good graphics and all. And again, there are a lot of instructions given over here how you can set it up on your own system. You can run it on your mobile or something like that. And of course, and you can simply try it out, right? You can so this is one way I've covered that you can try it out, or else you can go with a YouTube or a Udemy course, equally good, right? Everything is equally good. Another resource I would like to share is this flutter.dev documentation, Flutter docs. So Flutter docs are actually really good for knowing like widgets and all like. So let's check it. You can go to this cookbook as well. It has some really good examples and things given over there. So I'll share this link as well. Widgets catalog. You get widget catalog over here, like animation widgets. There are animation widgets and scrolling widgets and layout widgets and things like that. So all these things we are going to cover in our upcoming sessions as we have planned. I talked about this in the timeline, right? So we are going to cover many of these things in our upcoming sessions, right? So if you're interested, like just go to this Dart thing and try to finish that up because Dart will be really essential for the upcoming session. If you have any doubts, we'll be creating a WhatsApp group and a Discord group, so you can raise your queries there and like get your things resolved. Right? We'll be like from two to three people from our team will be readily available on those groups to check out if you have any inconveniences or like errors, random errors popping up. So there is this thing, Flutter Docs is also there. You can just like copy all these links and store it somewhere, right? Because these are good resources that I'm sharing you. If you go outside and like try to look for something, you might very easily get lost into like it's huge on the internet, right? Everything is like so much, so much content is out there. So you can just copy these things and keep it on a clipboard or a notepad somewhere, so you don't actually like lose all these things. And there is a good Flutter channel for Flutter as well on YouTube, the official channel. They have a very good playlist called as The Boring Show. Boring Show, Flutter. Here it is. The Boring Show, Flutter Development. Here is the entire playlist. It's actually a really good show. The Flutter development team, the team which has actually created Flutter, has created all these 1 hour kind of these episodes in which they are talking about and creating new applications and implementing new features, right? If you want to check these out, this is a very good resource as well. The Boring Show. As the name suggests, they have called it the Boring Show. I should not play it right. Okay, they have named it so that like because they are 1 hour long and a lot of people will get bored, but that's not the point, right? If you want to get into that thing, if you want to get into how the actual details are working into these things, right? It's a fantastic resource. Like they have talked about adaptive layouts, right? This is an issue. Like for example, you built an application for your Android device, right? So for example, I have this application Quiz Banao, right? So actually, we have made this application for mobile devices, right? So if you see on the mobile devices, the layout is perfect. Everything is perfect over here. Like everything like just seamlessly fits in because we have developed it for the mobile, keeping mobile in mind. But at the last moment, we couldn't publish it on the Play Store under like 2 to 3 days. It's still in the review. So we had to publish it on web, right? So the same code base, but it now looks terrible, right? So that is because there is a issue of responsiveness. If you have worked with HTML or CSS, you would know that you need to make things responsive. So we have not worked on it yet, the responsiveness part of this thing. So I would recommend to open it on a smartphone or mobile device. You can also install it as a progressive web app if you know what exactly I'm talking about. So yeah, so this is the issues like these which are very critical, right? So how critical is this issue, right? So they have talked about all of these issues in like 40 to 45 minutes of lectures and like everything what the Flutter team actually thinks that is the best. They have shown it over here. You can definitely check this thing out. A really good resource. Okay, so I think the most of the presentation is over from my side. Okay, and how do you create a new project in Flutter? You can simply write Flutter create project name. once you have the Flutter SDK installed, only then this command will work. For example, there are commands like npm create project or something start npx, right? So there are a lot of other commands from other things as well. So here is a similar command, Flutter create project name. So after this, there is only like the thank you slide. So this is all what I wanted to cover in this session. And since we have 15 to 20 minutes left, if you're interested, we can also take a look at some real code, right? Or we can move on to the quiz part right now. Just a second. So if anyone has any questions, you can post it in the chat box, right? Otherwise, we are going to start the quiz just in a minute. So we are up for the questions, right? All right, I'm also sharing this link to you guys. So what I actually want to do is, I actually want you guys to go onto this website. I'm typing all these instructions. Okay. So I have given the instructions on what I want you to do is. So simply go onto this website, that is web.quizbanana.com, and simply type in your name and put the quiz ID as this thing which I have given you, right? So here is the quiz that we all want you to attend. And this entire application we have created using Flutter, and it's cross-platform. You can run this entire thing on web and Android and iOS as well. So just write your name. There is also a leaderboard at the end. You can we can check it out who scored the maximum kind of marks. And you can put the quiz ID as GDSC Flutter. If I hit the start quiz, the quiz will start right now and I'll have to give it. So I'm not pressing the start quiz right now. Okay. Anyone having any questions or issues till now? Like there should be a plenty of them right now by till now. There is a lot of information that I have shared. Yes, yes, you can definitely start with the quiz. I'm not starting because I'll have to. Let me start also. Okay, fine. I'll also start with you guys only. So just start with the quiz. Okay, I'm hitting the start quiz right now. You can also start the quiz for yourself. So the quiz will be started right now, something like this. You can answer the questions. I have answered most of them. I'm not answering them right now because like everyone will be able to see the answers, right? And that's not what I want right now. So just go to this thing, start your quiz and give your quiz. Okay, I'm closing that tab for myself. Web.quizbanana.com. So again, reminder that we have created this application entirely on Flutter within like 10 or 12 hours of work time, right? And that's a lot less as compared to what you might have to do in other frameworks. So we have developed this application under like 12 hours of work time, right? If you and like that's a very less amount of work time that we had to put in as compared to if you try to create a similar thing on a different platform. And it's working on web out of the box. We didn't even touch the web part ever. Like we just created it for the Android, right? We tested everything on the Android. but it's working well on this web as well. At the end of the quiz, if you are able to complete the quiz, that you should be able to, so you can also check the results. So if I go to this, so if you put in the title like this, like ID of the quiz, we can view the leaderboard as well. Okay, so a lot of people have given the quiz up till now, and at the top we have नहीं बताऊंगा. Cool, मत बताओ कोई नहीं. With 7 points, and it took 2.6 seconds for him. And he's the rank one. So I don't know your name. Second is Rishabh Gupta with 7 points and 44 seconds time. Third is Saurabh Shashikant Dev Dakar. I'm sorry if I pronounce your last name incorrectly. He took 63 seconds and 7 points. And so for the first three people, we have given you the crown, right? And of course, Nahi Bataunga has the like top crown, right? The biggest crown we are giving. And the second crown and third is a simply star, right? Simple animation star. So till now, 30 people have given the quiz. If we refresh this thing, I think just a second. You can refresh the thing and like if you're on a mobile device, you can actually pull to refresh and it will actually refresh the thing. GDSC Flutter. So these are like okay, 2-3 people have also given this quiz again. Like so again, like yeah, it was a fun name. Okay, cool. Whoever it is. So again, this was a simple quiz that we created on this thing. And again, like I'm like saying it 10 times and 20 times because this is a Flutter event, right? So because I'm really happy about this thing, that and like so the thing that and we have a new third person, right? This is Pallavi Shinde. I guess this name came up right now, and earlier when I opened this thing, it was not there, I guess. So that is also a thing. So yeah, we just created this entire application for the Android, and we went to the Play Store to publish this application yesterday. Because of course we are working like delayed, right? No one works on time. So whatever the case, there were some bug fixes and all. So actually we published the application, but it's still under review. So what we had to do is like our entire plan was like ruined. Like we created this application and we can't get it on Play Store, and we don't want to give a single APK, right? And ask you guys to install it. You will have to do a lot of trouble for that, and we didn't want it for you guys. So we simply run it on your this thing called as Flutter Web, and it worked seamlessly. Like, I'm super happy about this thing. Like the performance side as well, it's really nice. So congratulations to your first, second, third. Okay, there is a new winner, that is Anuj Singh, 8 points. So congratulations to Anuj Singh. नहीं बताऊंगा. Okay, cool. And Rishabh Gupta for the first 3 positions in our quiz. And I think so close to 40 people have given it right now. I'll just go ahead and close the quiz because and Acha, let's go to the let me go to the quiz and answer all of these questions, right? So let me go to the quiz and write web.quiz. So we can go through the answers together, right? Let's do that. If you have any questions, you can feel free to feel free to ask the questions in the chat. Or okay, so there is a question. Have you used Firebase for? Yes, of course, we have used Firebase for storing the data. We are using Cloud Firestore, no SQL database with it, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. Pretty much it. We have used this. So let me go through it. Let's type in. In the quiz ID, GDSC Flutter. So let's go to the answers one by one. Okay, so Flutter 2.10 includes support for which of the new platform? I said this thing in the event, so that was Windows, okay. And to the next question. What is Flutter? Flutter is simply what it's a programming, no, it's closed source, no, it's cross-platform. So how do you create a new Flutter project? I actually covered this in the last slide. So it's actually create a new project kind of thing. So I'm going to the admin panel and disabling the quiz. That because we are already discussing the answers for this quiz. So for which of these is not a cross-platform framework? So that's going to be your Swift. React Native and Xamarin both are cross-platform applications frameworks. Flutter is built by not Amazon, not Alibaba, not Nokia. It's Google. Right. In Flutter, everything is a widget. I ponder upon that point a few times, right? So everything is a widget. That is the correct answer. Are there more questions? Oh, yes, there is. Which of these following app is not built using Flutter? Okay, so I have given the examples and it's a little bit tricky. So Google Pay is there, Zerodha is there, Alibaba. I guess it's Discord. Like I don't know if Discord is made with Flutter. Probably not. Which of the following is supported by Flutter? Android is supported, Linux is supported. Okay, all of the above. Yeah, all of the above is the answer. Okay, so I actually came third. How did I actually came third? I should have answered all the questions correctly, right? Okay, the time thing is there, right? So the time issue is there. 11 points first position, 8 points second, and according to the time. So that's also cool. So I've disabled the quiz right now. So now anyone cannot give this quiz. So this was about it, about the quiz part. And now I hope like if you have any questions, you can simply ask them out, right? We are also going to circulate a WhatsApp group link that you guys can join for those of you who are interested in learning